Yeah, we went through it as coaches. It was obviously a travel day yesterday, but you look at a couple of things post-game and in the airport and stuff, then we catch up last night and we all do our individual reports around our areas of the game, and then we'll get together now Monday morning. We've pushed back a little bit, but we'll spend a few hours together now as the players are screening, and obviously from the majority of them it's an off day and we'll be good to go for tomorrow. But in terms of outcome, yeah, well, I think overall in terms of the two games we'll take where we are, but also realise there was parts of that first half which were bordering on the unacceptable. We could have been blown away, and it says a bit about us that we weren't, but we were shoddy in terms of just basic energy levels, and especially tactically where we were good in Treviso, we were poor against Leinster. Notwithstanding the fact, second half we did hold on to the ball, we carved out two great tries in terms of building pressure on Leinster, which was part of the plan, but also perhaps went into our shell a bit, and again tactically we just fell away a little bit with some of our kicking game, which was excellent out in Treviso, was not as accurate on the weekend. Brought them back into us, and you know, in the end obviously we showed a bit to get a draw, but it's a bit of frustration in terms of the process, but you know, I suppose in the grand scheme of things we're not going to quibble too much.
Do you consider it 2 points gained or 2 points dropped, given that you were in a winning position midway through the second half?
My take on it in terms of draws is, you know, it's only as good as your next game, really. I know that sounds odd, but my perspective on it is that if you can back it up with a good win, you often look at it as 2 points gained. If you know we have a poor evening at the Liberty this week, and Edinburgh be coming to get us, and we get nothing, well, suddenly you look at a bad one on the back of a game where you could have won the previous week. So, you know, the point I'm making is, if you can back it up with something solid the week after, I think again you'd be looking at it and think, oh, win there, plus we had 2 points away from home the previous week, and suddenly, you know, the sort of the points tally is adding up, and you know, in respect of the opposition we've played and the comparison to last year, you know, I suppose we'd be pretty pleased.
Do you expect to sort of have all your Lions available this weekend?
Yeah, all available.
Likely to start this time, cover being on the bench.
There's a few different conundrums we're looking at the moment. Obviously the boys who've been on the bench have been excellent in terms of the impact in both games, and you know, there's, you know, some possibilities that they may well then, you know, get that starting berth. But again, we've got a lot of strength in the back five as well. Some people have manned up brilliantly in both games. You know, your Joe Beermans, your Tom Smith, your Sam Lewis, and those boys, James King, as he always does. So suddenly then, you know, trying to look at someone like Alan Wynne, who's going to be desperate to start a game, you have to manage what's best for the group in terms of the fatigue levels potentially there, and also obviously the boys coming in with the impact you want for this week, but also with a mind for the next few weeks as well. And so it's about, you know, getting the best of the whole group during the next month or so, really.
When you look at the fact that you've had 2 tough away games, you look at last season's start where you never recovered from it, just how pleased are you to be in the position you are compared to this time last year?
Yeah, pretty satisfied, I guess. You know, it's just, regardless of league tables, it's just about looking at the corresponding games and realise we were clearly points down last year, and we've accumulated a few better ones this year. You know, but that's also true of this chunk of 5 games. Actually, if you look at them, you know, we lost 4 of these 5 games of the Rabo last year, you know, only picking up the 1 win. So we've looked at it as a block of games where we've got to obviously put more points on the board. You know, Edinburgh's won last year, which, you know, we won in the Liberty, so we've got to back that up this year and consolidate, because like I said, you know, a draw is all well and good, but you know, if we soften off this week, well, you know, the picture tells a worse tale. So we've got to actually, you know, just emphasise now, you know, how excited we are about trying to put points on the board in a home game with hopefully a good crowd and lots of backing for the Lions and the rest of the squad.
How much is Alan Wynne worth for this sort of side, Gruff?
As we know, he's great around the environment. He's inspirational in terms of what he does week in, week out. And you know, to be fair to the guy, he's been really good the last 2 weeks, running opposition plays, galvanising the non-starting group, so really keeping boys on the edge. And we've seen then, you know, some good internal competition in training sessions over the last couple of weeks, some real, you know, tough hit outs. And that then has helped put us in a good position to gain points away from home in these 2 games. And then obviously he comes into the selection mix this week, and his quality as a player is there for everyone to see. I don't have to back up what he does as a player himself.
Is Ryan ready, Gruff?
Yeah, he will be. Yeah, I mean, if we'd have perhaps, it was one of those games on the weekend, if we'd have gone last minute, we could have pushed him through. But like I said, we've got a lot of strength in the back five, and we want to obviously see some of the players step up to the fore, which they've done over those 2 weekends. So we were able then to give other people game time. But we have got some nice selection headaches early in the season, especially in that area.
Has Alan gone up a notch? Starting all 3 tests, ending as captain, all that, you know, it's even for him quite a step forward in his international rugby career.
It is in terms of the achievement itself, but I think what for me has stood Alan Wynne out as someone that, since he took it to international rugby, is his consistency, you know, at regional level and at international rugby. His game very wavers. He's done it for a long time now. You do see a lot of players come in, they may have a year, even 2 years of world-class excellence, and you do get some dips. I've never seen that from Alan Wynne, and that's true with an Osprey shirt, Wales shirt, and obviously the Lions shirt in the summer. You know, in terms of that consistency, says a lot for his character and how relentless he is as a person.
I guess you're looking forward to playing at home?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, definitely. We want to generate a feel-good factor around the Liberty. Obviously, you know, a lot of world-class stars to come in view, but also, you know, we knew that the first 2 games were going to, you know, stretch us in terms of everyone having to step up as a squad, but then trying to ride a wave and get back to a home game and start to build a bit of momentum going into this last block of Rabo games and into Europe. But also, yeah, looking at hopefully a vibrancy around the whole place, around Ospreys rugby, and it does make a difference if we can get the numbers they're supporting us. As always, I was impressed by the Leinster crowd on the weekend. You get 18,000 supporting a champion team, and it does make a hell of a difference. You see in the closing quarter where we put them under a bit of pressure, they came back, 14 men, the crowd lifted them when they were under pressure, and their players respond to that, and you know, top players do that, and I'd certainly see the same from our boys. If people can come out in big numbers, hopefully we can give them a product and an entertainment value and a commitment to the cause that they respond to.
Tell us about the scrum half, Robert.
Yes, it's an interesting one really. We've obviously been monitoring a few of the Canadian players, as we've seen with our signings over the last 6 months. But in all the footage we watched, in terms of the 15s, and I watched a lot of 7s, this diminutive scrum half as a real live wire kept coming out at us. And obviously, as someone we just put in our back pocket really, as someone to monitor if and when, you know, this sort of emergency arose, and that has obviously come to the fore with, you know, Webby's injury as a blow. Tito's been fantastic over the last couple of weeks, and Haberfield was having a great summer, but Tito's on his own. And he's picking up the odd bumps and bruises, so we were, you know, obviously getting into a worried state that we felt we had to bring someone in, because also Tom Grabham's been good for us, especially training, and in Treviso in the last 10 minutes kept his composure. But we see his development as a winger, so we felt, you know, it's been a bit unfair on him having to be an emergency cover for us, when actually he was, you know, playing our pre-season games as a winger, putting himself in the selection mix, and he's missed out as a result of that. So, you know, for 2 reasons: A, in terms of the primary focus of getting the scrum half covered, but also in terms of our squad depth, we felt it was really important to bring someone in, and like we've seen enough in Phil to give him that opportunity with us.
And how long? You know, just the 3 months, isn't it?
It is a 3 months, and you know, hopefully, you know, we're back to a comfortable position where we've got, you know, our 3, you know, top, I think, you know, 2 young gifted 9s pushing each other, and Tito's giving us something little bit different as well, back to that competition of 3 players. But it's a good opportunity for Phil. As I said, it's something that you know, we've seen enough of him. I've monitored a lot of him in 7s to see a good games player there, and we've had some good character reference there. So over 3 months, hopefully he can do himself justice, and it's the type of thing that, you know, you may want to look to in the future as well. It's that sort of arrangement where, you know, potentially we could always go back there.
Do you rate Edinburgh as a team?
Yeah, I do. You know, you wouldn't expect me to say otherwise. They've had a difficult couple of years, you know, but even when, you know, Michael Bradley was there, they had, you know, loads of attacking options in their game. They've actually probably stepped back a little bit from that. They've had to batten down the hatches, and that's certainly understandable with the new coaching group they've got there. and they're sort of generating a toughness about them now, which will probably make them defensively a tighter side coming down to the Liberty this week. But not forgetting, they've got people like Nicky Walker. I think someone was telling me last week the 2nd and 4th all-time try scorers in the Rabo. So that's some real good firepower with people like Matt Scott on the field as well. Tonks has stepped up over the last year or so, playing week in, week out, consistent rugby for them. And there's a live wire pack there as well, which, as I said, is probably getting better around the set piece. Probably got a new focus defensively. So they'll have a freshness about them, and we are really wary of Edinburgh. We've been burnt in the past playing these, at different times of the season. So, we're not taking anything for granted. Like I said, we feel now we've got to hammer home a couple of satisfying results with something in the Liberty this weekend.
This is some player, isn't it? Nicky Walker, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Seen Tim Visser's record in the Rabo, his top try scored over the last few years, stands up to anything. And I know they've built a game plan around him in the past, got him on the ball in so many different attacking positions, and he finishes regularly. 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, it's total consistency. And we know Nicky as well, a great professional, he's a real good Osprey. And again, he's someone who'll look for work, whatever game they're trying to develop. They've got 2 wingers there who'll challenge us in different ways. And it's good firepower on the field for them.
Gruff, how do you assess young Eli's development this season?
Pleased with him on the weekend. I think there was a real improvement from week 1 to week 2. And that was understandable. He hadn't played since January, so that's a long layoff. And obviously we were trying to get him back up to speed in the summer. And the Treviso game was stop-start. We were probably more tactical focus rather than ball in hand. So he didn't get as many opportunities as he'd like, but there was obviously more width on our game on the weekend. Sometimes recklessly, but more often than not put us into some good positions, and he's coming in looking for work in the right areas on the weekend. So really pleased with him in that respect, and I'd expect to see more and more as these next few weeks go on.
With Dan Bigger, in what way is he kicked on this season?
Just again, talk about someone like, I think, Alan Wynn's consistency over the years. I've had that with Dan since I think me and Steve came in as a coaching group, that his all-round game is always consistent in terms of what he's trying to put on the field in his own accuracy, but also I think in the 2 games we've just seen total control on everything he's tried to do, in terms of just controlling field position in the Treviso game, but also with a bit more attacking intent on the weekend, knowing when that he can have a crack at the defensive line. And he's one of our best ball carriers on the weekend, but when to shift and put the ball into Ashley and Andrew Bishop's hand and getting that balance into his game, as well as, I've got to say, defensively, the back row and around the midfield, I thought we were really good on the weekend. We got stretched early on, but as the game came on, we got stronger and stronger in that area, and Dan is just throwing himself into tackles. We know he's a gutsy boy, and he's just non-stop in terms of the hub of the action, but also with a clear mind. I think he's had the official man of the match in Treviso, he's had the players' man of the match on the weekend, and that says it all for his start of the season.
Do you see him in pole position for the autumn series?
I would, yeah. I haven't watched much Welsh non-Osprey rugby, if I'm honest, but I can only just say he's the guy in pole. He's the guy in pole position at the back end of last year, rightly so. And I think, as I said, he's had 2 man of the match performances. So, I think he'll just, hopefully, and as I said, history will tell me that he'll keep consistency to his game going into the next block of Rabo and European games, and he's certainly worthy of that shirt.
With Aaron Jarvis, is he going to come back to Infinite?
Should be over the next 2-3 weeks, and yeah, he's obviously had a few little setbacks on the way, and we were hoping for the back end of pre-season, but that didn't transpire. So Joe Rees has had opportunities, and Adam has obviously come in and done some magnificent stuff off the bench, but hopefully Jarvi will give us some more options now going into the Connacht Ulster weeks. Happy. Cheers, boys. Thank you.